at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Moving on, this is now the public's opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
I had no speakers contact me beforehand, but Art, if you could please unmute everyone that is attendee right now and give them an opportunity to speak.
Yes, one moment.
Thank you.
Callers, you have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you'd like to say anything, that would be a great time. There looks like no response.
Great, thank you for that. All right, moving on to the consent item. Are there any questions from the board members?
Madam Chair, I'd move the consent.
I second it.
It sounds like we have a first and a second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Director Sailors.
Aye.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
And Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, at this time, we're going to recess to closed session now, and we will return momentarily.
Melissa, did you catch me?
Hi, Director Wood. They are in closed session now, if you'd like to join them.
I'll second it. I am.
All right, coming back in session. Director Orzali, are you still in our regular meeting here?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I just wanted to make sure you were still in our regular meeting here and everything was okay.
I'm still in the regular meeting. I'm unable to dial in, apparently.
Okay. All right, President Sheets, if it's all right with you, I'll go ahead and do a quick roll call now that it looks like everyone's back.
Great, thank you.
Director Sailors,
Here.
Gould,
Still here.
wonderful. Orzali's here. Director Wood,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
White,
Here.
and President Sheets, I will turn it back over to you.
Great. At this time, can we please have General Counsel report out regarding our closed session?
Thank you, President Sheets. The board met in closed session to consider the workers' compensation claim of retired engineer Anthony Fink. The board voted to approve giving its third-party administrator authority to effectuate a settlement of that workers' compensation claim. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to reports. President report. At this time, I have nothing to report. Fire chief report. Acting Chief, Chief Bridge.
Good evening, directors. We got a little feedback here. One moment here. All right. Just wanted to fix that. That can be an annoying feedback sound. So anyway, as I sit here for Chief Harms, I'm privileged to report out to you a fire chief's report. First, starting with some of the meetings that Chief Harms hosted, the EMS 2020 meeting back by the 1st. Would also like to recognize firefighter Janice Odestig for 17 years of service. Her retirement date was June the 26th. And I had the pleasure of working alongside Janice. Did a fantastic job for us. We've also have a reclassification effective last July 1st, was Human Resource Specialist Giovanna Reed. She was previously our administrative specialist. Also have the honor and privilege of announcing 12 captain promotions. That was effective July the 3rd. Those would be Captain Dwayne Miller, Captain Tyler Block, Captain Terrence Manley, Captain Riaz Ali, Captain Aaron Lindquist, Captain Jonathan Squalia, Captain Steve Overlander, Captain Matt Clemens, Captain Sean Leonard, Captain Brett, Captain David Bear, and Captain Scott Shield. That list also consisted of 4 additional people on the list. I'd like to take a moment to be next up for promotions if they become available. And that was Brendan Hope, Ryan Ann, Shannon Chamberlain, and Joe Schmidt. So congratulations to all of them. Also, the AMR contract that went effective on July the 1st. And that basically what it provided for us was 2 additional units. We also renumbered those units to reflect their primary posting location. So, and those are one of the areas. So that's AMR, Medic 803, Medic 806, Medic 829, Medic 854, Medic 821, and Medic 861. So there's our unit. That concludes the fire chief's report, and I'm happy to provide you with the operations report when you're ready as well.
Great. Any questions or comments? All right, take it away, Chief, for the operations report.
Okay, so we did have a holiday a few days ago, Independence Day, that was breaking some records in terms of our busyness and our call volume. I'm sure many of you watching the news could see that people were out and eager to celebrate with fireworks since there wasn't any of professional. I think people chose their own. So just to give you perspective on our call volume, we a busy day for Metro Fire is about 300 calls in the 24-hour period. On July the 4th, we ran 458 calls for service. That's about a 61% increase, give or take a little bit there. The EMS call volume on average from day to day, that was only up about 9 or 10%. What's interesting is the fire incidents were up 334% for the day. When we looked at, I spoke with Chief Wagaman over the communication center. He told me that their call was up 44% from last year. Last year we had about 1,459 total calls in the region. And in 2020, just last week, we had 2,112 calls. So again, that's about a 44% increase. And in that time frame, the busiest time of the evening happened right around 9 o'clock, 9:20, somewhere in there. We had seen an increase up from last year of about 150% in our call volume, just from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That's when things kind of went crazy out in the field. So my hats off to Chief Mitchell, the shift commander, and coordinating with the communication center to making some adjustments. It's actually the hats off to the comp center folks is making adjustments in our response criteria. As it was tough to meet up with the demands. But everybody, good news to report is we made it to every call. Nobody was injured. Home, a little bit more tired, but that essentially was that night. A busy day. Another perspective, just to add, our busiest engine for the day was not a surprise, the engine 53. Again, they typically will run anywhere from 18 to 21 calls a day anyway. On that day, they ran 35 calls. So it was extremely, extremely busy. And we had several engine companies that were up over 20 calls for that day. So busy day out there. Lastly, I just wanted to update everybody on our members on how they're doing. Sacramento County Public Health Department does have a protocol which we follow when there's exposures. And more recently, we've had some exposures as there's been an uptick in the positivity rate, which did not exclude Metro Fire. So we've had about 4 extra members test positive. Good news, none of them had to go to the hospital, but there's 1 or 2 of them feeling it a little bit, and the other one was asymptomatic and one was very mild. Unfortunately, they were in close contact with some other members, so we had to remove those members from work until we could process them through the proper procedures. And happy to report it was a total of 31 of our members that are off right now from this. Positive thing is probably 27 of them will be returning to work in the next couple of days because they're still asymptomatic. They're the ones that were exposed to the positive members, and their initial tests come back negative. So they're going to do 1 more after the 3-day rest period recommended by Sacramento County Health. So if those tests come back negative, which right now everybody's still reporting asymptomatic, then they will be cleared to return to work and our staffing levels will be back on track. That's an update from the members. Lastly, we did send out an engine on a strike team to Nevada, Carson City area. That was our OES Type 3 engine. They went out Tuesday late at night, right in the middle of a 4-acre fire that we were working in the Placer County portion of our district up by north of 117's area off Alberta, off Baseline. In the midst of that, the request came in for a strike team. So they got a little crazy at the moment there. They went out Tuesday about midnight-ish. And then they went right to work on that night for the rest of the night. And then on Wednesday, they were off. And then this morning, they got up and demobbed, and they are now back in the county. And they will be returning back for staffing. No injuries there. Everybody's healthy on that one. And that concludes my operations report. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
Any-
Madam Chair, I have a overview question for the chief.
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you. I realize this is way above probably everybody's pay grade here, but do we have a sense? We always say positive COVID-19 tests, percentages and so on, and we have hospitalizations. Both within Metro and generally speaking, let's say within our county, do we have a sense of how many people are seriously ill, like in bed, maybe not having to go to the hospital, but maybe in bed for 3, 4, 7 days? Do we have a sense of that impact?
Oh boy, no, I don't know if anybody is tracking that type of data. Because I think when you parse that out, we're talking about hospitalizations for staying home, and then staying home could be extremely mild,
Right.
asymptomatic, up into and including some that are, I mean, just our unofficial, I guess I'll count for, at least for Metro, it's small representation. And it could be wrong on this, but I know we've had probably 3 or 4 of our 9. We've had a total of 9 members that tested positive. Of course, 5 of them are already back to work and everything. There was a couple of them that had some, what I would say, well, they had a spike to fever and laid in bed for a couple of days. And maybe 2 more of this last group of 4 that did something similar, but the rest of them were very mild, cold-like symptoms. And then some were asymptomatic, and the rest of them were more asymptomatic. So I don't know what that means in terms of how you want to science that one out, but that's, I could speak for Metro in that regards. But when you you kind of get the gist that most of the younger folks fare pretty good on this, and they don't have this on an overall number basis, don't have the significant symptoms as some of those over the age of 65 or 70.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I was just trying to, there's that huge gap in there. And I was trying to get a sense for the district, and it'd be impossible to extrapolate, I guess, that unless we talk to county health department. Just trying to get a sense of the impact. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
President Sheets,
Yes, I don't know who was talking.
this is Randy Orzali.
Oh, yes, Director Rosali.
I do have a question for the chief. Since what I understand is that younger people do better, which is another thing I don't like about younger people. But do we have any collateral information about the spread from our folks to members of their family? How is there any cross-infection?
Great question. That data is not tracked either, because we've had a couple of our members' family, I mean husband and wives, that were positive, and who got it first, we don't know necessarily. Good. I don't know. That's a tough one to trace. Probably can be traced, I'm sure, but some of them of our members that have been in that situation were off on vacation. So which one got it? I don't. So
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Chief. Moving on to Firefighters Local 522 report. Is Mr. McGoldrick on the line?
I am. Good evening, President Sheets and Board of Directors. I really don't have anything additional to report. I'll just kind of chase the coattails of Chief Bridge. We're, kind of dealing with issues that come up secondary to COVID as they arise, and we're working collaboratively to make that happen. Everybody seems to be dealing fairly well with that, and I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments? All right, moving on to committee and delegate reports. The executive committee, we do not have a meeting scheduled. Moving on to communications center JPA, is Chief Shannon reporting out?
Yep. Good evening, President Sheets, Board. Comm Center report out's brief. All 7 remaining candidates in the Comm Center Academy graduated July 3rd and got the 4th off, thankfully for them. It sounds like it was pretty busy out there, and they hit the floor running on the 5th. So they are actually at the workstations filling the shifts as we speak. Next academy, they have an academy scheduled for August 5th, tentatively, hopefully with 6 dispatchers in there. End of report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. California Fire Rescue JPA, Chief Shannon.
Good evening again. No report for the training JPA. We will meet again September 17th at 4 o'clock at Gold Canal. End of report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to the Finance and Audit Committee, Director Rosali.
The Finance and Audit Committee has not met, and we do not have a scheduled next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Policy Committee, Director Gould.
No report.
Awesome. All right, we'll move on to board questions and comments. We will start with Director White.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, first, I want to congratulate not only the graduates of the Comm Center Academy, but also our recent captain promotees. I know a lot goes into a promotional process and an academy graduation. So I actually want to thank everyone involved for the sacrifices they made to achieve those goals. Second, I want to thank Melissa Pania, our board clerk, for providing us with the election information for the upcoming election. And last, I just want to, say thanks to the men and women of the Metro Fire Department. Quick response to a grass fire that was immediately behind my home. The interesting thing was how I found out about it was my son, who was in Santa Cruz at the time, saw the alert come over Pulse Point and called home to see how we were doing. So we were alerted to a 1 to 2 acre grass fire that was actually burning almost in our backyard by our son, who was down in Santa Cruz at the time of the incident. But I got to see Battalion Chief Daly. They were kind enough to let me squirt some water and scratch some lines, so I appreciate that. And just want to say thanks for the quick response and for keeping that fire relatively small. And that's it for Division 9.
Thank you, Director. Director Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. the largest fire I've seen has been in the barbecue. So again, Director White tops me. Okay. Hey, congratulations to the new graduates. Congratulations to the captains that promoted. The same amount of thanks to Melissa and staff for keeping us all together electronically and spiritually and mentally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. All right, Director Clark. You there, Director Clark?
Director Clark, you are muted.
Okay, I think I'm back now.
You're back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say, Director Jones, you're so crazy. I love that comment about the barbecue. I just want to thank everybody for the reports, and also wish the chief a rapid recovery on his recent surgery. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same thing that's been said before. Congratulations to all our captains who promoted. Best and speedy recovery to the chief, and thanks again to all our staff, especially Melissa, who keeps us all straight. And lastly, just thank you to all the men and women who worked tirelessly and relentlessly through this last holiday. It was kind of crazy out here, and I know everyone in my community greatly appreciates the responses that we've had and to the incidents that were in our neighborhood. So thank you to everyone, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Director Orzali.
Thanks to everyone, and I have no further report.
Thank you, sir. Director Gould.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to say thank you to all the men and women who continue to work hard and tirelessly out there. And based on our leadership at the local, I also want to make sure that we consider the impact that these COVID-19 infections are having not only on the men and women, but on their families, and make sure that we have support services that can extend to those family members as well. And I'd like to potentially see what services we have and are available for the families of our first responder team. So if we could gather some of that information, I'd like to see what's available and how we're using it in our system in a future meeting. Besides that, always proud of the group, and thank you to the president and the board clerk for all of the challenges that they've been faced with since we've had to go remote. And I sure look forward to the day where we can meet in person, even if it's wearing a level 3 hazmat suit.
Okay, thank you, sir. Director Sailors.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to express my thanks and my community's thanks for out here in the Rio Linda, Alberta area. It's been very lively with lots of grass fires. We have seen many crews out here most every day since about the 3rd of July. It's been very active out here. And my community wants to express its thanks to Metro Fire for the fine job that they are always doing out here. And I would also like to wish the chief a quick recovery and a happy birthday to Director Gould. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, going last is always not that fun, but I did want to thank Chief Harm for the invitation to the EMS 2020 last week that I was able to attend. I too want to wish recovery. I want to congratulate our retiree, and congratulations to all the new captains and center promotions. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting. The next meeting will be on July 20th at 6 p.m. Via Zoom. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
care.